because I have some allergy
Okay.
to the pollen in Europe.
Oh,
That
okay.
is called, to pollen. It's called high fever in English,
Okay. Yeah.
But I didn't have that in South America or in America. So
Yeah. I
it's
guess
just,
it depends on the species.
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Some
allergic.
people say that, I mean, if you move somewhere else, then they don't have any issues. So it can happen the other way around.
Right. So it seems I'm allergic to Europe. I don't know what that means.
Well, I don't know why I'm laughing.
But your situation is worse because apparently you're allergic to Japan also.
Yeah, I mean, it was never really bad, but well, I mean, the good news is that now we can openly wear a mask, so that helps.
No, it's not just true. Okay, I see your point. Interesting.
Yeah,
How are you?
good, good. I guess, well, it's already recording, but I guess we talk about what happened yesterday.
Yeah. I feel I feel way better than yesterday. When we talk at the end, I was like feeling like almost emotional, like, oh my God, thank you. This has been such a long trip, like if we were traveling for 4 months, like, climb the Everest and you bounded somebody, like, thank you for being there. It feels so relaxed. I mean, I have so much space now than yesterday.
Mm.
I don't know how it is for you.
I don't know, like it's like usually I see more like when you have this development and then we had the practice and chat, but like yesterday was like this whole like one thing, it's just like a huge thing, and it just like you
Maybe
said, marathon, like we were just like running the whole day.
maybe if you can maybe for the people who are watching, if you are upload this, you can say what we did yesterday, maybe.
Yeah, so the idea is to have like one day of streaming. That's part of Jorge's thesis work, I guess, and project. So we did like a rehearsal or like a test run of one day of streaming, and we started at noon. We actually met in the morning, but that
In the
part was
morning.
not
Yeah.
streamed. And then, although it's recorded, it's never going to be published, but it's recorded. And then we started from like with 1 hour of development. That I don't know if you were just like fixing the streaming link.
Yeah, it took me like, yeah. What else? Yeah, and my setup, no?
Yeah, and we were setting up, and then you printed stuff for the link, and then we had 1 hour of lunch break from 1 to 2, and then from 2 we had another hour of development, which I don't remember what I did. I was like stressed, I think, because I had some ideas that I wanted to do, and 1 hour was not enough to
You were
make it.
coding a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I saw Visual Studio
Yeah,
glitch. I saw at least these two editors.
yeah.
You're really coding. Yeah.
And at the end, I was trying this hot glue, which didn't really work.
Yeah. I didn't, to be honest, to check that. Can you send me the link in this Facebook chat now to check it?
Yeah.
I think I didn't check and I was busy with something. So I think can you maybe reframe again? What is that?
So basically, it's an analogy of like hot glue on the or a scrapbook on the web. So basically, you can take website or YouTube videos or images and place it on your hot glue page. So it's like like a composition of different elements, and of course you can write something there as text, but it's
Right.
more about like collecting things from the internet.
Right.
And I was thinking about using it so that we have like different YouTube videos that we have or different data assembled on hot glue, but I think I need to actually code it by myself because I need to use I want to use JavaScript for like live coding and stuff. So
that could be interesting. Like I'm interested in that framework, and I'm somewhat more familiar to JavaScript, the other languages. So that's something that I, in terms of like curatorial process, I might like to check and well, like to see what is that.
yeah,
Because I think could be interesting.
yeah,
Also, yet, so yeah, there's one, but yet, one thing that I agree with you, like yesterday before you said, like, I think it's a good idea, like for the project for the school for that thesis, then to put one website, so create a website that has the side-to-side streaming,
yeah,
which I guess is just embedding the two thing, right, with an iframe or something like that. But then a part of the, I mean, we can like think also maybe it could be interesting to do something more, but I have to, okay, maybe I have to do the ideas to say from that. One thing for sure is like we should put a website that it has the two streaming side to side, it's simple wise. The other one is like perhaps we can try to think in terms of curatorial process and try to do something somewhat a bit more interesting. But so that's at the same time, that's already another process.
yeah.
So maybe I don't feel so comfortable that what we will present, then it becomes something different. Yet we both are comfortable that what we do in a way is that what we did yesterday. So I don't know what do you think about it?
Like this curatorial process thing, I think it's going to be another project, or let's say that's the project we're thinking about that I think we're not going to talk about in the chat yet, but hopefully it's going to happen. But so like it's already in my list, and it's also like something I've been doing these days is like related to that it's like archiving and curatorial process of the videos and the material that we create or text. But let's go back to yesterday because I haven't finished the whole day. So that was the hot glue thing was at the end of development 2. And then we had 1 hour of break, which was really nice for me to go outside and have some pollen. And we had 2 hours of practice from was like 4 to 6 or something.
Yeah. Then we came back and then we keep the streaming open still.
Yeah. I stopped it for some time and then I noticed that, we have to come back for the closing chat, which we were really exhausted. And I think it was like one of the shortest chat, like we only finished after like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
So, but in your streaming, I didn't check actually. I checked part of your streaming, but I didn't check if, so you have just one long streaming, including the chat, or is fragmented?
No, not accidentally, I stopped on OBS, but I didn't stop on YouTube. So it was still alive. I'm getting used to this.
Yeah, we are.
It's like, like if you end the streaming on YouTube, that's like the end of, the life of that streaming.
Yeah.
You
Like
cannot revive it anymore.
It's dead. Then it dies. It fulfill its purpose. Going back to Hegel, then it's when it's free. Hegel says that then is only when the master dies, it it becomes free. It's free itself. No, wait. Only when the slave, which is analogy for the body, only when the slave dies, it's fully free.
I see. But in case of live streaming, you can swap the body or swap the brain, because the cool thing is that you can stop your live streaming on your OBS, and if someone else has the same streaming key, then you can continue the streaming from other computer.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that works like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. It works with a key.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's something like also like these live coding guys, what they do is they open long live streaming for a few days, and they distribute the key, and they just schedule, Naoto is doing at 3, Jorge is doing at 3:20, something like that. So like I have the slot to do something with that key, and after that I just stop my OBS, and you can just start with your OBS.
What happens? I'm wondering what happens when two people try to use the same key.
Yeah. So the first one got it will do it, and that's sometimes become a problem. That someone like misunderstood the time and like did it at the wrong time. Sometimes happens, and especially because people from everywhere is joining. Some people are not like, well, confused with the time zone, or just they don't speak English, so they're like confused with something. Yeah, but I think it's also fun part of it. Let's say.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like the practice.
So that sounds like a lot of fun. We should experiment more like with the metadata of the streaming. That sounds like another element itself. A beast.
Yeah, and I think like also, I don't know if we need like many subscribers, but if you have a good big channel, maybe you can have like a unique URL for the streaming, so you don't have to generate it every time.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
But instead, you
Like,
can just make your own website and just put the iframe. That also works.
like a recurrent key. You mean there is no changing
The URL, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
Anyways, so what did we do in the practice? You were doing some hydra stuff that I remember.
So I think what I did with in the practice itself, I think I start like opening BDMX and I never use it. It was I just realized at the end, like, this is open. So I open BDMX, I open Live Lab, then I have this text of part of the Marten's performance ongoing. I think
the podcast.
Yeah, I think if his Martin's project was running for the 1st of May until the 31 of May. So yesterday was the last podcast.
March, yeah.
Yeah, on his new performance. He was making one dance piece in Berlin per day also.
Wow.
Using that text somehow.
Okay.
And so I had that. And I was using the text partly. The way how I approach the text, actually, I feel very comfortable when using this any stream of not even text, is just like symbolics or semiotic symbolics in what is happening in the performance, in the practice. Then it naturally depends of what is happening. It could be a chat with you, a text, then the text will start morphing into something that it sometimes change, often change the meaning, the literally meaning of the word, but at the same time I just let it open, and sometimes it's just forming new words or things that evoke things, and then I start moving from it, try in a way like going into this process of self-dissociation with the elements that are playing. So that was happening yesterday. And at some point there was this very nice, do you remember that I tell you when I have this problem because of the chroma key? When I use a webcam, the green color is not strong enough. So then I have to use the hue, and then after I use the hue, then I thought it was not working, but actually it was working.
Yeah.
And then my feed was there, and it was in a way not far away from my first body. I will say like the body coming out of my webcam installed in my laptop. So it was in relation, in a way, it was not so abstract. Let's say my legs were bigger. Like, well, you see this, the other camera was pointing at my legs from a slightly offset angle. And that was generating a nice forms, nice grouping. I will say like this process of grouping, ungrouping. Yeah, and that was quite a lot of fun with that. I think that was the way how I started.
See.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, that part, like I was like, oh, I should use my feet as well. And then I tried to do like brought my computer to the bathtub and try to put the green paint, but it didn't really work well. It
No, but
just
it
took
was.
so long.
I used, because I used part of that. At some point, I went outside
Yeah.
and I was trying to put like, so instead of use the chroma, I used the luma. I'm pointing out, and I was having my green shirt, so actually I couldn't check. But my idea was like I was using the luma, so everything that was green, it was doing weird glitches. We were just glitching within the frames. And so my idea was like going out, have a drink, and then somehow like walk around with this green shirt and see if that could be seen. But I guess I was like this small or something. So I don't know. I didn't check that part from the streaming yesterday. But that was, so when I came back, no, actually you were already in the bathtub with your feet, and I like it because somehow I was using my feet at the beginning, so 1 hour before, and that was nice.
I was trying to do, like green paint as chroma, which
Yeah,
was kind of working, but it's interesting how it blends with the like fluid. It's like it's real matter. And I think this is something we talked about, or like I've been especially like thinking about, is like how we relate to ourselves, like during the practice, like is like also like eating, or something like just using the mouse cursor and do something, is something that you can relate to yourself, because it's not
right.
like everyone does that. Like if you use computer, you move the windows and you move the cursor. So that's actually more interesting than having like controller that, or like even like a MIDI controller that you can do something more maybe efficiently, but it's more, it has like distance from let's say the average user, because they don't use them. So it's something
In
that
that
very,
way, in that way.
that
Yeah,
way, or that itself, like they don't have access or something like that. But if it's a mouse cursor, then, and it changes the color as you move the cursor, for example, that's like it's just instant, you get it.
yes.
So that's something I start to think. But also
Yes.
like real matter, like water, for example, it's something you can easily associate with something else, and that's like what I'm trying to think about in the practice.
Right.
Not going to, I mean, it can be technical, but it's not like something technical to hide something, like try to make a huge program that does something efficiently with AI and just provide something super cool. But instead we just do something dirty, and but yet this viewer, I mean, I don't know if there's viewer, but can they can associate with their experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I see now what you. Okay, now it makes sense. Like we definitely, for this new project, definitely we should, like, one of these ideas I think would be nice is do some kind of like comment, or like kind of like interpret what the other one is doing before, like we talked one of these mornings, like what, for instance, what if we do that? Now I understand what you were doing, and now, but what, for instance, if I'm just like watching and just like actually going in the process of kind of consciously trying to understand, in one hand, like, technically what is happening, yet on the other hand, like, more trying to allow poetics to happen, and enter in a best practice process within that framework of understanding the material from, without you telling me, and see what happens.
Yeah. And this is why I was really excited to. So I had just had a chat with Danae, and I don't know if you're watching, but hello, Danae. Sorry, I was distracted.
Nice to meet
So,
you. I haven't seen you.
but what she does is basically that. Like she's like, let's say, expert in like annotation of dance. So basically, she watches like a bunch of videos of piece plus interviews and like related, like everything related videos, what they refer to, and then she annotates like, let's say, every single movement or any remarks, and then start to link all these what they said in the interview to what was the action happened in the video, in the piece, and so on. So like basically what you said is what she does, plus she's doing more to like to the more like archival process.
Wow, that sounds super interesting.
Yeah,
That's so super interesting. That's because that's very specific.
yeah,
Um, in terms of like, because if you talk of this like as a, oh, it might be interesting to do this, of course, like we will approach it somewhat differently. But then so she has already a practice on it, and so instead of starting from zero, it will be interesting to see how does she approach these processes. So yeah, definitely, maybe we can talk a little bit more in the backstage afterwards.
for sure.
uh,
Yeah.
but does so have you watched any of these processes or this video archiving or one of her works?
Yeah, she just talked through some of the things she did. So she's like, that part was like done with motion bank. So basically with the peacemaker, and the
Maker.
other thing that the grid thing that you can make a web page.
Right.
And yeah, I was just trying to look a little bit more. I can send you a link as well.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit when we go to backstage.
Yep.
But it sounds super cool. So like I'm really like looking forward, like maybe do something with it.
Yeah.
um what else?
I was watching some videos. I mean, the streaming from yesterday. I don't know what I thought. So that was a cool thing. Like with the feet, it was fun. And at the end, again, I was using the cursor to change a little bit of the feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the text. Well, you said about the text already, but I think it's really cool that like, well, Martin's work is also interesting, but also like the thing that we're using the chat. Like, I mean, you're using the chat, like this kind of video in the practice already, but last time, like for me, it was first time using it. Just the transcribed, I mean, speech to text, like generated text.
You
And
sorry, wait. So you use it on our chat, the
I took
speech to.
the I took the chat, one of the chat, and used that automated speech to text to get the subtitle or whatever, the caption, and
Yeah,
I used that data. So I
right.
think I was showing it somewhere.
Yes. I wasn't sure from where it was coming from, and I thought like those are interesting things, like from time to time. So that was actually our chat.
That was a chat, yeah. And it's
That's
so
very.
fun because
Yes.
it's it's in a different form, but sometimes I relate myself because that's basically what we talked about. Either I or you said it, and
Right.
maybe it's wrongly interpreted, but mostly it's quite accurate. So that
Yeah.
was fun.
I-
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Okay, now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah, because you see, but that's what it happens. Like this is what Gestalt principles. This is the brain how it works. Like because the last time at some point we start using in the last practice that we have, at some point I start on love and what is love for this song and all this thing. And at some point then you use like a message that somebody told you, and then you put it there about like, hey, I would love to, I'm new in hydra, blah blah, I would love to something. So I thought it might be a conversation with you and somebody else. That was my interpretation of the text.
Well, it was kind of that someone was asking me. I didn't reply though.
But you didn't use it. I mean, no, I mean, I'm saying like that. I'm saying that in what it happens yesterday is like I assumed that
Oh,
the
that
text
text from
coming from
yesterday. Yeah,
emails or something
I see.
going on with you.
Yeah.
But nice. I mean, I think it's cool because in a way, like you see, like there is some. I don't want to use that word evolution because I have some. Yeah, but there is some work in that direction. Like the last time, in a way, like something is happening with the text, specifically with love. In this case, I guess we just defined yesterday that we will use text, but then you started using the text and part the archiving coming from the text. So I think that's nice. There is like upcycling, parts of the archive actively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So it's not only a, yeah, because I think it might be that's kind of like something that is clear for me, is that if we archive the videos just to put a massive archive, which is partly what we do, then they stayed. I mean, then just we archive them, and in a way, what we do is like as part of like a self distribution, like distribution of the self. But Daniel will speak about that, as I mentioned some time ago. I think he called it like distribution of the self or something like that through the network and stuff like that. That's basically once you let the network performance on the wave, then just you assume it just goes. Uh, but what I think is cool is that still like when you do that, it's just one shape that it goes, and basically it's just, as I mentioned before, a distribution of that object. But if we use that object like to recycle part of it, then the archive keeps on coming back. So it's not only something like that is done and is ready for in a capitalistic way. You can see it as a uh, distribution, but it's just done and ready for use within the self practice. So it comes back. So in that, going back to this idea of ecology, that in a way is more ecological,
I
I
see.
think.
And it's actually something I didn't think relate this, but in Martin's podcast, I think it's very. I mean, he said like Greek something. I think like it's really Western way of thinking that the clay becomes brick and stays in a house for generations or something like that. He said, and that's really funny to me because I think especially in Japan because there's earthquake and I wouldn't really. I mean, there's also like historical buildings, but it's not something that we expect to stay forever. I mean, it won't, and it's something more ephemeral. And it's also, I think, it related to Buddhism that there's like the cycle. You die, and somehow your body becomes something else. I mean, like literally, because like it's matter wise, you know, it just becomes something else once you're dead. So it actually transforms to something else. It's
The
not just
clay,
the spirit, but or the clay or whatever. The brick becomes house, but then the house will be destroyed by something, and then it will just become something else, right? Like I
right?
mean, you can
So it will
just
be it will be in perpetual, like matter in the universe, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see.
As
I like this idea. I like this idea of like as matter in the universe, basically, because the
Yeah,
matter is not disappearing from us.
exactly.
So you just I like this. This is I think is very. I think I like this analogy. As matter in the universe, universe, because what it happens with matter is that in matter in our physics in our world is that it just changes the states constantly. So it will come from a solid to a vapor to liquid, and it just goes on and on depending on the material itself. It ungroups constantly. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a constant process. You know, you eat and you digest, and that's the cycle, right? And that's
yeah,
also like like what we want, I guess, in the practice is that it's not just yeah, like you said, it's not just like distributing what we do, but also that comes back or transformed and we consume it again. But it's ecology or it's some kind of ecosystem, I would say.
yeah, yeah. You used that word like before. Yeah, the ecosystem. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
And
like that word.
also, I was using one of um, the also the video from the past practice in the practice, like the one that was scrolling from the top to the bottom. That was the
Yeah, 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 yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, have like okay. This is actually is a new topic. That's because I was thinking yesterday. At some point, I thought like in a way, it's I like this process already because since we have this practice and we have more practice and more time, and hopefully we can keep this framework where we have some
you mean
economy.
this let's say like 1 day thing
Like yeah, 1 day framework, like to
format? Yeah,
because it just gives a lot of space and time to work seriously on it. Then yeah, so what I was trying to say is that I was thinking that actually from my side, like when I use your feed as part of my chroma or my luma or whatever as part of my feed, then I use very often like more than 50% of the time when I'm using your material, I use your neutral image. I use just you when you are in just you and the green key, or you and some, but I won't use your composition. Sometimes, you know, like at the end when we are dancing, or when I feel that the thing is coming together in that state of like chaos in a way, then I, in purpose, then I do it and then just like let it go in that flow. But often I will just select you clean, because then it gives me some control of, then I can work it out and it's progressively, instead of just putting it in the back, and then it's just very difficult to keep on working on that because it's already very glitch. So what I was thinking in that regard is what I was doing that yesterday is like, what does this mean actually? Because I never really reflect about it. But then I reflect like, why do I select? Why? I mean, what is this? Why I'm doing this? Yeah, I mean, the easy will be thing to say about it is like, yeah, because if I select you when you're clean, I have time to glitch you. While instead of when you are like more glitch, then I don't have so much to put on this, and that would be like the straightforward thing to say. But I think it's more a reflection. You know, there was more a question like, what does this mean? Why do I select your body clean? I mean, what does that do with my desires of the elements? You know, why am I grouping you in this way? And I think that's interesting.
I see. Yeah, that's like completely like I relate to what I do because basically I do the same. Because like for practical reason, I think it's because it's way easier to work with clean image, especially when you have chroma. So that yeah, I can how do I say? In a way, we become more equal. That like especially like when I use your feed, most likely I will use my feed with like similar like chroma or something that I can easily, you know, cut out the background so we can be there in a, like, let's say equal or like, you know, same, how do I say, level. Like there's like no competition between these different feeds. But as soon as like I cannot use your feed that has colors and, you know, already changing saturation and background, then it's really hard because why is it? It's not something I'm used to. I mean, I can still do it, but then of course, once you change the color, then, you know, I need to adjust my program, for example. That's very practical reason.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think that's also like, you have the color and let's say I don't have the color, then that's not, you know, equal. And it's actually really interesting to think about because I treated like two of us on the same level, that like, okay, I'm captured by the webcam and you're coming from live lab, but still like we're in hydra as a buffer, we're the same. And that's really, it's really it's just nice, you know, that itself, like there's no like anything practical or anything logical, but I'm just having chroma or something and I'm in captured with a webcam, and you also have the similar setup with a webcam. That is cool. Like when I'm outside it's nice, but then it's different. Or if you're outside, it's different. I don't know why.
I think we talked briefly like yesterday. Like, maybe I want to say two things, because for me it seems to me that they are. This is in a way an attempt to decolonize knowledge. This is and so in so towards not binary thinking. Then I think that when we talk often, then we go in. Sometimes appear this in a way. I will like make some analogy with classes and objects, you know, like super classes and things like that in coding. Then you have objects, and then sometimes you have a class, a whole class. And then for me, sometimes it's like, this is a whole class, you know, like when we start talking now about streaming, for instance, that's something that is just a thing in itself. It's a class in itself. What is that? When we talked yesterday briefly, we talk about this idea, why, how important and how refreshing is when we use natural elements, when you go out, these kind of things. That's another class in itself, you know. So then when we talk about this idea of selection, it's in a way, because it seems to me like a privileging actually from a horizontal process, because as you said, the setup is very flat. The way how you appear in live lab and I appear is very horizontal and flat. Then how does that come? That's happened. Why is happening that? That we privilege the clear view. And I'm saying that because I'm not interested in the rational thinking. So in the binary, like because of this, you know, because of this is working, and because then you can have your answers, I can have my answers, and they will be rationable within a frame. But then what I'm interested in is like, what does that mean? You know, why am I selecting you? Why am I feeling? That's what I was mentioning, that at some it didn't happen before, but yesterday at some point I thought like, wow, what does this mean actually? What is this thing? Why is that I need to select a pure you in a way, you know, a group of you that is more suitable, I guess, to my desires and intentions. Yeah.
I see. Um, like I'm trying to. I'm not trying to rationalize, but I think one of the things that that we agree yet implicitly that we use the green screen and we move in front of the green screen, let's say, and that's already like it's good that we also, you know, like we're not trying to take over, you know, like you can also not use green screen, but then that is, I mean, it might be related to the care that we have the green screen, you have the green screen, and you have somehow frame it in a way that that works with the green screen. And then in addition to that, you use your feet, or I go to the bathtub or whatever. But that's not, you know, like you don't close the primary webcam, let's say, that has a green screen that the other person can use. And these little things that like we give, you know, each other like space, and we can, you know, work together in that sense. That's something that forms that like why we use these, let's say, the clean video from each other, and why it's good. Like I think those are the reasons to me. But again, as you said, it's something not we can describe in a way, because it's something we built through the practice in the past practices that we've been doing for a year. And then that's something like we kind of ended up in a way, for now at least.
Right.
So that like I think that also reflects the process.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting, like because it refers to embodiment in a way. If you really slow down at the moment, it just refers to embodiment at that moment. You know, like what does that mean? Like in my body, what is happening in my body?
Mm.
What am I grouping? What am I relating to?
Mm.
What I'm where I don't want to relate. So you mentioned this idea of care that I think is um, appropriate. But then I'm thinking that because in a way it means like because I care, it means that I don't care about other ones, right? When you care, it means that you are using your ability to discern and then choose, basically select what you liked, which means that you know what you don't like.
I'm not sure, but I get your point, but I don't necessarily agree. I mean, especially in this case, it's hard to think like what is not being cared.
But I think it's very, I mean, but I think this is the point maybe where actually we can have like big bang moments in terms of the practice, because it's like we are getting into places where if you will agree with me, then it's not, I mean, there is just something that we put and it's just good. I mean, or it's not really interesting in the sense of like
Mm.
we both agree. But if
No.
you, in a way, we both, if we need to find a discursive in order to understand the other one, then it's just interesting. And then it's just the practice in terms of like what is happening conceptually can, might not, but it just seems to me there is potential to go in a different territory in terms of um, understanding. Yet, I mean, from a not necessarily Eurocentric point of view, but yet with a like brain focus, like trying to understand the process in a way, like trying to reflect upon what is happening.
I don't know. I'm a bit lost, but like when you said you care and let's say not care about certain things, I mean other things, I would say if I think about it, like for example, I said, you know, we kind of give space to each other, and that is in a way that I'm not saying slowing down, but I'm, you know, like not ignoring. I'm trying to not do certain things that I could do. Like I can just, you know, focus on coding for more time, for example, and I might get more interesting visuals with that. But I'm not necessarily interested anymore in the practice. I think I was doing it in the first, like when we started the practices, I think I was more into like really like coding visual stuff with Hydra. I still do coding a lot, but that's the focus is going out of the visual elements, I think, or more becoming more the, you know, the composition or choreographic thinking about the space that we share on the, it can be the metaphor, or it can be really concrete as the display and the text or whatever that's happening on my desktop. That's what I'm caring more. And it's not, I'm not really caring about like what would be interesting to have as a feedback or what kind of colors I want. That's something in a way I don't care anymore. I was interested, but now I think that's in a way that's really how do I say, it's not self-centered. I don't know. It's not something that I have to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a problem with the live coding, that they, I mean, I don't want to make it like generalize, but if you have, let's say 30 minutes to do live coding, then you're like fully in and you try to get something um, as visual or sound or whatever. You just have to code. And
Yeah.
it's really like one directional, because let's say you're streaming or recording or whatever, you're just doing it on your own and there's nothing coming from outside, or there's no negotiation. I mean, there is negotiation with the computer, but it's really, we're never equal, the human and computer. That's
No.
really tough. But when I work with you, it's, you know, it's more about the dialogue and less about what I want to show.
Yeah, yeah. The process is dialectic, but in that sense, maybe it's because I'm referring. This is kind of like Hegel thing in my head, because this is like coming from dialectics basically, and for me, like because there is a lot in this text that goes a lot of, in terms of like negation. Like when you assume something is because you negate something. There is a negation that is intrinsical when you decide to do something is because you're negating to do other ones. But normally in the self, let's say in the brain, then you decide, like you have the intention to do something. Normally then you're thinking, I want to have a coffee. It doesn't mean you're not thinking that I don't want to have an orange juice, a Coca-Cola, or a glass of wine. You're not thinking that, but you are doing that. You are not you don't want to have the other things. And in that space of the negation is where the life, in a way, he said it is, because it's like he will refer them to what is the master and the slave. Like the master is the one who can only choose one thing, and because of that he's just losing his freedom, because it's just he just have one option. But then the body, which is like the one who is not thinking, is like not consciously saying, I don't want to have Coca-Cola, wine, and a beer juice. And it's in that ambiguity where life really appears from that point of view, as a multiplicity of fully in a fully thing. From using his words, like basically is that's the idea of freedom. Freedom relies on the negation of things. when you think you are free because you choose to have the coffee, it's not true. You are free actually. You're not free, but your body is free when you are actually when it happens in the other process, like the negation process from that perspective, because it's just infinite.
Yeah. But I think it's really what is interesting in the practice is that because it's not a performance, I can take coffee, but I can at the same time, I can think that next time I would take Coke. And that really gives so much freedom, because if it's a performance or something that I only have once to do something, then I really have to decide and negate all the other options. And because I know that this practice will happen again somewhat soon. So, and that's also related to the failure. I think that, if I regret taking this option, it's fine, because we can just do it again next time. I mean, we can choose the other option next time.
Mm. Yeah, I see. But I think it's not clear this that you're saying. I think I don't understand really well the way how you said, how you see that you can do it in the future. And that makes me think actually of Martin, what he said yesterday, but like, what was that memory? Yeah, he says memory relies on the future. That was the approach of psychoanalysis before they would start using another approach that I don't remember. But before psychoanalysis, based that for the children, it was they were saying that the memory of the past memory in a way is based on the future.
Or present or future, I don't know.
Yeah, but try to say like say it again what you were saying in terms of that you were saying when you do the practice, then you can think and in the future and thinking that yet something I didn't understood what you were saying.
So for example, like I need to, I don't know, I don't know, I cannot really think about a good example. Like, let's say I choose a video feed from Live Lab, or like just think about like what to do with Hydra. And let's say I only have 5 minutes. So I have to like decide one thing, like I cannot just try everything because I don't have time. So I just take some of your video and I just decide, okay, which function I'm going to use, and I just try it. And then at that point, and at this point that we've been doing this for some time, I'm really chill that, I don't think that, okay, I only have 5 minutes, I have to make it super nice and I have to make a really good decision. Like, there is no concern about that at all. I just do whatever I want. And okay, maybe like I have some options. Maybe I just choose the first one. And if I end up with some failure, it's fine, because next time I can just choose the second one. Although the same situation would not happen. So it's not likely that this will happen again. But then at this point, I can rely on the future that it's just going to happen again. And that just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Wow. This is okay. This is you said is it evokes many things. Because then what you're saying basically is that because somehow because of the framework, then you are not concerned. There are two things I want to say in the talk. Maybe one is like about in terms of shape, and the other one is in terms of time. And then it's like because of you're referring that because of the practice already, then you think like I'm not concerned anymore of like I have 5 minutes. I need to shape this into something that is somewhat interesting, good. And in the other hand is that because of that, then you are free from in a way, like concern about the future, because that's basically that's the time part of it. But I mean, what I'm trying to say, because if we are thinking that maybe there's the pressure if you are streaming or something, when we have the performance that you in a way that it's difficult to not negotiate with your desires, and then not trying to just act in regards to reproduction and to shaping something that is good, that you feel proud of it, um, when you're performing, you know, when you for other people, is more difficult to do that process of like finding space to feel your body and actually just do what it feels good. um, so in that sense, then you are more bound to time, and actually that's coming from Martin's text yesterday. Like then in that sense, like you are more bound in time, you know, your time frame, so you know that you have 1 hour, you know somehow that you cannot escape from your ego partly, and then you need to do something to shape that in a way. Yet then in the practice, then because somehow, because it's not a performance, then this pressure of time becomes more, and then using his words, then he will be it will that time becomes a duration, so you're free from time, because the time doesn't start. I mean, he was saying the time start, medium, and end, and the difference with duration is the duration on what, even though it's part of the time, duration will just do what it needs to do, and it is not negotiating with the forming shape, the form itself, and the all this thing that I was mentioning before in terms of um, doing something good, and yeah, shape, basically form and shape. Um, yeah, so in somehow, I guess what I'm trying to say with what you said is that because of the duration of the practice, because of the time, let's say, because of the framework, because of the framework, uh, you mentioned that you are not uh, thinking of the shaping, and then just you do that you were trusted, it will just take the shape that it needs to take. So you, in a way, you are more embodied within the code, and you are more in a comfortable and true, yeah, more a comfortable process than being in a performative state where you normally need to shape for other people, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fully. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I don't fully understand what Martin was saying, but it's not that. How do I say? The time is present. It's true that, let's say I only have 5 minutes. I have to do something in the 5 minutes. I cannot. There's no option that, like, I just think that there's infinite time, so I just keep going. It's definitely 5 minutes is 5 minutes, and we see the end, and that forces me to choose from one of the options. And what I said was not like you probably understood, but I don't want to be misunderstood that I don't have pressure. I do have pressure. I am pressured to do something in the 5 minutes, but at the same time, I'm really calm because I know how to handle that pressure with just choosing one option. And that part is not pressuring me. I'm pressured to take that action, to do something in 5 minutes, just give whatever I have, that I'm really doing it. But there's no extra pressure or anxiety making because of failure, for example, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Well,
regret.
sorry, maybe to quote it, this is part of things that I'm just reading and I'm just putting out because kind of my brain is warm. Then is that this coming from like decolonize, the symmetry on part of these lectures. This is for actually what you describe is basically what it is, holding space somehow, like embodiment, and part of like just be more comfortable with yourself and say like, it's not that I don't feel pressure, yet I can hold space for myself and then be truly to what I can do with it.
I see. Yeah. So yeah, that's like something I can handle that pressure of, let's say, 5 minutes, but I cannot handle if it's a performance that only happens, I mean, it only happens once, but it's, let's say, like, okay, this is some, I don't know what to say, like, I don't know, it's something that I cannot fail, but I have to choose something and do something. That's not cool, like, at this point I would say, like, I wouldn't put myself into that kind of situation anymore, because it's not that I don't want to fail, but I don't want to have the pressure not to fail, because that's not healthy and that's not how it should be. I mean, what is fail? That's another thing, but I mean, there is no failure basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that what makes practice interesting is because it's recurring every week, let's say, so that we know that we try our best, and if something went wrong, we can just try it differently next time. Or if it's good, then we can just try it again and see if it works again or not.
I'm thinking now that it might be somewhat, it could be it's my interpretation of things that I'm thinking because of this conversation, and it has to be, that's why for me it's very important is the new process, like I cannot deny my body and just do what I normally do in my life all the time, like in terms of my performativity in Brussels and in my work everywhere, because this is very true. This is very, with these things we hold space that I feel myself very comfortable with, but the person, my identities and things. So then I'm thinking that when we, because I'm thinking of failure, then I'm thinking that when we perform in Node, that it was a catastrophe, that it was like not good in terms of form and shape, let's say, and it was not working, then I'm thinking that maybe that moment was in a way crucial for the process, because it might have, what if happened, for instance, that let's say it didn't work as it happened, but then we just, instead of like instead of like supporting each other and being just like what's so joyful about it, which was actually what happened, is that we both were just laughing, and it was just fun at the end, and we just like, when we were down, and how was it, and then you said to somebody, we failed miserably. You said that we failed miserably.
Yeah.
And that was true, but so then we were sharing that in communion. So what I'm thinking is like, it might happen if, maybe if in that moment, for instance, it will have go in the other spectrum, where we both realize it was just a catastrophe, and then we both feel really bad, we might not be talking right now.
Could be. I mean, I think it, like, Node happened at the right moment, that, if it was too early, then that could have happened, that we just like, okay, that's the end. But I think we had already enough time to, like, on the same, page, that this is okay.
Thank you, Jane, for inviting us. That was so beautiful.
I think, I mean, that's something also I wanted always. Well, like, these days, I just like realized how much, like, Node or Jeanne was nice to us, that we just, like, it was not like they asked us to do something. I mean, yes, but it's not
But
that
like she was relaxed to like, okay, you do something. I don't know what you do.
exactly.
So that in that sense, like Jan was very,
Yeah,
was
if it was really like structured, then that could have been a nightmare. But
yeah.
given that I don't know how many
But
people are watching.
we still have a stage design that we did it. We consciously have a stage design.
Yeah,
We designed the stage
with the ghost.
with a ghost that it fell.
Yeah, I think it was nice. Like, I wouldn't. I'm not sure if I want to go back to Mozilla Hubs, but I think that was really good. Like, I don't know, it just like added like different element that we can always relate to or refer to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know if that didn't happen, and if I start to work with the windows, like move things around. I don't know if I thought that as a stage design,
Right.
for example. I mean, we could have thought about it, but it's different. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we can close the chat here. Maybe we're going backstage.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and whatever.
Thank you.